Hosted by you/throwaway Thattersock. So, my fiancé Todd, 41M, and I, 35F, met over a decade ago and share a mutual friend group. We started dating last year and got engaged last month. Generally speaking, he treats me like a queen. He spoils me a lot, and I always appreciate it. He's usually respectful, kind, communicative, and patient with me. However, this started to change, and I believe the shift began once I accepted the ring. I want to be clear, I don't particularly care about getting married. I'm perfectly fine with not doing so. My parents aren't married, but they've been in love and together for over 40 years. Most of my siblings are unmarried, yet they're in seemingly happy relationships, each lasting at least 5 years. However, Todd is Christian and believes that two people eventually need to get married to be truly happy. We talked about this at length, both before we became a couple and after we started dating. I made it clear that I don't want or need a ring, but if it's important to a partner I love, then fine, I'd be willing to have a small wedding. He was overjoyed when he proposed, and I said yes in front of pretty much everyone in our social circle. However, later on, he said I didn't seem excited enough and that it felt like I didn't really want to marry him. I reassured him that I love him, and if he wants a marriage, then sure, we can get married. But as far as me wanting to get married, I explained that I know it's something he wants, and since it doesn't matter to me either way, it seemed like a simple decision, so why not? I said this somewhat jokingly to lighten the mood, but he didn't appreciate it. Since then, nearly every other day, he finds a way to ask if I really want to marry him or he'll just say he feels like I don't. I suggested couples therapy, as this issue seems to be weighing heavily on him, but he responded that he's done therapy before and doesn't need it again. Then, last week on our usual date night, he said he had something really big to ask me. Call it a favor if that makes it easier, he said, and then asked me to come to his church and get baptized. I just stared at him. I'm an atheist and have been since my mid-20s. He's known that for years, and we've always been respectful of each other's beliefs. I told him I couldn't do that. Baptism is supposed to be sacred and done with a true heart for that faith, and I would be lying if I said I wanted to live for his God because, frankly, I don't. He argued that it's just a splash of water in some words, and since he wants it done before our wedding and I don't care about religion either way, it should be an easy thing for me to do. I refused again, explaining that I do care about religion. My majors were world religions and anthropology, so I care a lot. It would be dishonest to his God and our community for me to outwardly dedicate my life to his religion when, inwardly, I don't believe in it. I told him it felt disrespectful to his faith and to the people who truly live by it. He got angry and said, "Oh, so you're okay disrespecting me, though?" When I asked what he meant, he told me to drop it and change the subject. I pressed further, but he raised his voice, saying, "I said drop it," loudly enough for others around us to turn and look. He's been acting distant and robotic around me since then, spending days up in his study all night, sleeping on the couch in there, and attending every service and event his church has. This includes most weekday nights, Saturday mornings, and Sundays. He's also been inviting me to every single one of these events, something he hadn't done since we first started dating. Back then, I told him that while I respect his beliefs, I would only attend special events like weddings, christenings, or baptisms, but not regular services. Tonight, he asked me again to come, and I reminded him of our previous conversation. He then dropped onto our couch and started sobbing. When I went over to comfort him and try to talk, he pushed me away and muttered something about being late for the service as he left. His sister, Esther, texted me to ask what happened. I gave her a brief summary, and she replied, saying I was being a jerk and that one service isn't going to make me burst into flames. She emphasized that it's important to Todd. So, am I being a bonehead? Am I crazy to think that this pressure is a deal breaker? I do love him, but this version of him feels like a stranger and a weight on me. Aren't people supposed to work through difficult issues to make a relationship work? Commenter. You are clearly not compatible. He seems to be doing a lot to make you happy, but you're not doing the same for him. Just break up and be done with it. Ops response. Just to be clear, what exactly doesn't count as stuff for him? Is it the fact that instead of paying a fraction of his college costs for this upcoming semester, I covered it all for him? Or maybe it's that I gave him my old car when his broke down, transferred it to his name, and didn't ask him to pay a dime? Wait, could it be because I cook for him every weekday when I'm home, do the grocery shopping so he doesn't have to, let him move in rent-free because he couldn't afford to renew his lease, and even got him a man shed out back, all at my expense, so he'd have a place to decompress and paint? No, not that? Maybe I should have funded his entire mission trip last year instead of just half, is that it? Or perhaps you mean that I do the majority of the housework so he can focus on his degree? No, I'm sure you're talking about the time I found his college buddies from his undergrad years, flew his mother in for his 40th birthday, had the party catered, decorated, and even hired a bartender. Or is it more basic, Like the fact that when he went vegan, I changed my whole lifestyle, only ate vegan at home and purged all non-vegan items, except for the dog's food, from the house? Thank you, because I'm actually realizing now just how much I've done for this man, and you're right, he should treat me like a queen because I've treated him like a king. This was eye-opening. Edit. He texted me a few minutes ago, saying that when he gets home, he wants to have a serious talk. I explained that my best friend is over, so it would have to wait. He replied, "No, tell her to leave. Give her my love, but this is serious." I talked with my best friend, Bessie, 35F, and read some of the comments here. I told him no, it wouldn't happen. He can go to his parents' house, and he's welcome to come in and pack a bag, but Bess is here for me right now, and I need her with me. He hasn't responded. Edit. He has never raised a hand to me. He would never, and if it's not for the reason I used to think, that he's simply not that kind of person, it would at least be because I'm a military brat. Both my parents are military, so not only am I trained to defend myself well, but my parents ahem would not take kindly to that. A lot of people brought up kids. I can't get pregnant. I used to want kids, but after that happened, I became okay with the idea of not having any. He said he was okay with that too, and we talked about just being dog rescue people. My family likes him. My father, who is a pastor, loves the guy. But no, I haven't told him about this situation yet. He is non-denominational and goes to a mega church in our state, literally thousands of people. No, it's not a requirement for marriage at his church for me to convert. Update 1 week later. Last week, I posted about an issue between myself and my fiancé, Todd. Despite having been respectful of each other's beliefs until now, he's Christian and I'm an atheist. He recently asked me to get baptized. Things escalated, and he stormed out, so I called my BFF to keep me company since I was feeling sad and emotional. I do a lot for him, and Bess, my best friend, along with many of you here, helped me realize that the relationship either needs serious changes or it needs to end. That makes logical sense, but it's hard to hold on to logic when you're heartbroken. I think I already knew he wouldn't change anything for me. That night, I texted him and told him he needs to go back to his parents' house, the house we live in is mine, and that I needed space. Guess he and his sister gave his parents an alternate version of events because they came by that night anyway, all of them. His mom, dad, sister Esther, and him. He had a key, so he just walked in while Bess and I were drinking on the couch watching Netflix. I asked what he was doing here, and his family followed him into the room. I asked what was going on. The way he looked at me is unexplainable, but his mom pushed past him and pulled me into a very aggressive hug. She said they were here to talk as a family and have a family meeting, then told Bess she needed to leave. Bess refused. His mom turned to me and asked me to have Bess leave. I refused, saying it was late and I wasn't in any state to talk further. I asked them to please leave. It devolved into passive-aggressive disapproval that I wouldn't take guidance from the man I planned to marry. His parents, his father is a pastor, sat down and gave me what felt like a pre-planned spiel about how I am an adult and need to act like one, and that kicking a man out of his home for doing the right thing was a tantrum. At one point, his dad even said he was so disappointed in me and that he would be telling my father, also a pastor, about this. I was honestly dumbfounded for 85% of this, but finally, maybe it was the booze, I started laughing and told them to get out. His dad refused, called me volatile, and suggested I get counseling. I reminded him that this is my house, and I would call the police if they didn't leave. I told them to get the F out. It was the first time I'd cussed in front of them. Pearls were clutched, I was called trashy, and Bess held up her phone, saying, "Okay, I'm calling the cops. She asked you to leave." As they left, I heard his dad say, "You're not marrying that," and they muttered other hurtful things, making a whole show of being sad and disappointed in me. They left, and Todd packed a bag and went with them. He continued texting me invitations to church services, saying, "It will help you," and expressing concern about the path I'm choosing. He mentioned that his parents aren't sure he should marry me, but he loves me and wants what's best for me. I told him I needed space and to leave me alone, but he kept texting. I eventually told him the wedding was off. On Sunday, when I got home from running errands, he was on the porch crying. He had a handwritten letter he wanted to read to me, but I firmly said no and told him to leave. He kept asking me to reconsider, telling me to think about how my choices affect more than just myself. I pointed to my doorbell cam and told him I had footage of me repeatedly asking him to leave, and that Bess had recorded the night when his parents, sister, and he ganged up on me. I told him to go away. He threw his hand up as if he was going to strike me, and I screamed. It was so sudden, and it scared me. He started to apologize, but a neighbor came out to see what was happening, and he just left. I texted him to never come back again, he's no longer welcome. I told him I would mail his things to his parents, but he is no longer allowed on my property. He tried to apologize, but I no longer care to hear any of his words. He left his handwritten letter, which both Bess and I read. She keeps telling me it's just manipulation, but it still breaks me. The locks are getting changed tomorrow, and Bess is helping me pack his stuff. His father is picking it up tonight. I'm just sitting here replaying the past week and a half in my head over and over. I know it's pathetic, but I feel shattered. I haven't been able to really sleep yet, and I don't even feel like I'm in my own body anymore, just going through the motions. Bess is staying with me, but I've been getting texts and social media comments calling me disgusting. This feels like a nightmare, and I'm not sure how to wade through it. Commenter. It's so hard to believe that he kept hidden the fact that he wanted to convert you before marriage. That seems to be the only explanation for his behavior this far into your relationship and so close to the wedding. It feels like he was secretly seeking counsel from his parents while telling you what you wanted to hear. Op's response. It's hard for me to fathom this. I thought we loved each other. I would do almost anything for him, and I believed he felt the same way. But the way his family came down on me, it was surreal. If Bess hadn't been there, I really can't say what they might have convinced me of. It was overwhelming. They were all basically echoing the same sentiments, making me out to be deranged, stupid, and more. I didn't let them see my tears, but their tirade of attacks was devastating. I was exhausted and so deep in my feelings that it was all too much. Bess thinks it was a coordinated effort to overwhelm me into complying, and if I had been alone, they might have pushed me over the edge into believing them.